By Davison Band and Desire Enterprise UK. So my guy, you have to date there, eh? It's a legendary thing, my lad, me tell ya. Yeah. Is the anthem.
Welcome back to GN Radio UK, the morning breakfast show with myself, Jones Awa. And we've got a lot to discuss today. Interestingly, we're trying to get the leaders, or the people that put together the demonstration which took place in Ghana yesterday. Hopefully we can get them online. Secondly, we'll bring you the headlines, rather, here in the UK. And a couple of stories in particular. I saw the footage, I think, a few days ago. So this happens to be migrants coming from Africa, trying to cross the border from Morocco into Spain and meeting some despicable treatment from the Spanish and Moroccan policemen. Ironically, the Prime Minister of Spain has actually defended the way in which the Spanish police dealt with the migrants. Okay, let's not forget that it was reported that people died at the hands of the policemen, the way in which they were treated. So we'll look at that story very, very soon. Idris Adeshina will be joining me very, very soon. Idris is a journalist and also the publisher of Alternative Africa will be joining us to discuss some of the stories. And one story in particular that I want to discuss with Idris is that now the UN has cautioned Nigerian youth not to sell their votes. This is in regards to the election coming up, Nigerian election coming up next year, 2023. So I want to find out how endemic this is in Nigeria. The youth in particular selling their votes. We'll find out if it is indeed the place of the EU to tell Nigerians what it is that they ought to do. The other day I said this, all right? I did an interview with the minister for Africa, the UK minister for Africa. Her name is Vicky Ford. So I did an interview with her. This is, at that particular time, the UK and Ghana, there was a business council meeting between UK and Ghana to foster or strengthen the relationship between both countries in terms of trade. And I had the privilege to go and interview the minister. And I think it's important, maybe, it's important that we listen to some of our discussions, because a lot of the time, when I speak to people, their frustration is the lack of fair trade when it comes to trade between the UK, or let's say the West, or China for that matter, dealing with Africa. And I asked her, because a lot of the time, some may argue that the UK, for instance, has, if it went for the fact of Brexit, would not have looked to the continent again to try and build a relationship that has always been there. And I asked her that if it's a case where the UK has lost its influence across the continent, and her response was interesting. We'll try and get that on for you very, very soon. But as always, we begin with the newspaper headlines. Let's look at what's happening, what's dominating the newspaper headlines. And we begin with the Metro. The Metro has a picture of Deborah, who unfortunately died as a result of having bowel cancer. But she was somebody who raised awareness, dedicated the rest of her life in pushing and raising awareness about cancer. So the Metro has Bow Babe Deborah dies. And then I think one story that is leading a lot of the newspaper today is to do with the jailing of billionaire sex abuser Jeffrey Epstein's associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, for sex trafficking in the US, leads the majority of the papers, as I said. Under the headlines, Ghislaine caged for 20 years, the Metro reports. Victims of British socialite and Epstein had called for her to be trapped in a cage forever. Just like you trapped your victims, the paper notes. Some people were calling for her to be sentenced for a minimum of 55 years. So she's been sentenced to jail for 20 years. Let's look at the Daily Mail. Maxwell, 20 years jail, but she's still in denial as victims celebrate. Ghislaine pins all blame on controlling Epstein. The Daily Express also leading with the same story. Maxwell gets 20 years in jail for heinous crimes. All right, let's look at the Mirror. The Mirror also leads with the same story. But according to the Mirror, prosecutors told to hunt Epstein's associates as Maxwell jailed. She gets 20 years from heinous crimes, she says she's sorry at last. So, according to the papers, prosecutors have been told to go after anyone who was associated with Jeffrey Epstein. And of course, we all know the allegations against Prince Andrew and his involvement. Of course, he denies all the charges brought against him. The Independent, Sturgeon's new bid to split from the UK. Scotland's first minister announced plans to hold a second independence referendum in October 2023. She's not going to let it go, is she? I think, the Scottish National Party, that is their aim, is to split from the UK. And of course, in the aftermath of Brexit, I think some may say that the deal has changed. Well, that's what a lot of them say. Let's look at The Guardian. The Guardian knows the Scottish National Party leader has set herself on a collision course with Downing Street over the move as she asked judges to rule on whether a new consultative referendum would be legal without permission from Westminster. The Sun newspaper, many front pages also carry tributes to cancer campaign Dame Deborah James following her death from bowel cancer at the age of 40. The Sun, for whom Dame Deborah was a columnist for 5 years following her diagnosis in 2016, dedicates its front page to her, and I quote, inspirational life and work. Let's look at the Times. And the Times leads with the news that Metropolitan Police has been placed in special measures over a series of recent scandal and failures. The paper reports systemic problems with the force have led to a police watchdog making a decision over substantial and persistent concerns about the force, including failures to stamp out corruption and properly investigate crimes. Now, you know, when it comes to the issue of the Met Police, all right, I don't know whether I should go into it now or maybe I should just finish with the newspaper headlines and then come back to it because I have something to say on this, all right, and I don't know if you share the same sentiment or not, because the Met has been reported and proven the Met to be institutionally racist. So I do have some words to say about the Met Police, notwithstanding, you know, them putting themselves in danger to try and protect you and I. But again, if their aim is to protect us, then of course, as part of the group, then we also have our opinions and suggestions. So I will be sharing mine very, very soon. Let's look at the Financial Times. The Financial Times have a picture of Nicola Sturgeon. But away from the UK, the Financial Times leads with the story that former US President Donald Trump wanted to join the armed mob which stormed the US Capitol building on 6th January 2021. The paper reports on testimony by a former White House staff member who said Trump attempted to force bodyguards to take him to the riot and tried to grab the steering wheel of a car, then the throat of the man who refused to take him there. Wow. Now, of course, the inquiry is still ongoing, and I actually saw this clip of what the White House staff member was saying, or the former White House staff member was saying what Donald Trump was trying to do, or allegedly to have been doing. And I mean, you know, there's a lot that have been said about Trump, and no one can get away from the fact that he did fuel the riots. Yes, I'll say it, and I'll say it again, he did. I mean, whether you deny it, it is there. You can, you know, try and use semantic to try and wiggle yourself out. Trump has to be held accountable. He is the president. He has to be held accountable. Whether you support him or do not support him, I don't think that is the question here. I mean, it is disturbing to actually see a U.S. president act in such a manner. It is disturbing. Let's look at the Daily Telegraph. The Daily Telegraph reports that Prime Minister Boris Johnson is resisting public pressure from Defence Secretary Ben Wallace to up the UK's military spending in light of the threat from Russia. The paper reports that Prime Minister is set to say at an ongoing NATO summit in Madrid that the government is already spending 2.3% of its GDP. So on defense, so essentially Boris Johnson will say to NATO members to also, you know, contribute more to NATO. In the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. I mean, there's a lot happening. And you know one thing I've noticed, indulge me for a minute here if you may, all right? One thing I've noticed is that whenever there is something pops up for Boris Johnson to come under pressure, you know, many have called for his resignation. One thing I've noticed, I think the last time I spoke to Priscilla, I called him the Teflon Don, Teflon Boris. Nothing seems to stick with Boris Johnson. Recent by-elections, again, brought attention to his leadership, to a few MPs or people questioning his leadership, saying that he's not the right candidate to lead Conservative, that he ought to resign. But then for some strange reason, okay, all of a sudden he's able to find ways to wiggle and still be at the helm of affairs, which I find interesting. It's either he's got the biggest luck on his side, or that's just the way he is. He just keeps getting away with things. You know, if this was somebody else, I think they would have been out of office by now. But there you go. That is Boris Johnson. So that was your newspaper headlines. This is GN Radio UK with me, Jones Ewa. We're taking a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue with our discussion, look at other stories as well. And I will give you my take on the Met Police, because just a couple of weeks ago, actually, I had a terrible, not me personally, but somebody close to me had a terrible experience with the police, and I will share that with you. Don't forget, we'll also discuss about the migrants who died as a result of them trying to cross the border, the Moroccan border, into Spain, and the way in which they were treated. The Prime Minister of Spain has, ironically, defended the acts of the police, and there seems to be a common trend here. Everybody is blaming the smugglers, not actually taking responsibilities for what happens to the individual who appears on your shores. Okay, so we're taking a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue with our discussion. Don't go anywhere.
When you thought you seen it all, but no. This is the height of it. London, wake up as the maestro, Mr. Music Man, the legendary Kojo Entry with Ketche and the Davison Band, UK. Live concert in the UK. This is happening live on the 30th of July, 2022. Time 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. Hosted by The Force. DJ on deck, DJ TQ. Location, Gaumont Palace, Domino Center, the Broadway High Road, Woodgreen. N226DS. Performing live, we'll be having a surprise guest. Anticipate, come and witness history in the making. Tickets available online at www.kojoentry.eventbrite.co.uk. Remember, this is sponsored by Unity Link Money Transfer. Media partners. For more info, contact 077 288 76027 or 075 2552 48643. Kojo Entry with Ketche and the Davison Band UK live in concert. UK is powered by Davison Band and Desire Enterprise UK. So my guy, you have to day there, eh? It's a legendary thing, my lad, me tell ya. Yeah. It's the anthem.
The world as we know it has changed, and so have the issues affecting our community.
COVID-19 and the geopolitical tensions have really made it abundantly clear that the African continent has to do more to be self-sufficient from an industrial capacity point of view.
Join me, John Sewa, on GN Breakfast Show as we look at issues affecting us here in the UK, with a close eye on trending stories across the world.
When we invest from the UK into infrastructure in African countries, that it is absolutely transparent.
With a focus on Ghana's social and political issues.
I mean, it's not about you thinking about, your money, the Sikadiya Basa. It's not what our authorities should be thinking about, or officials, but rather they should think about the nation.
The Breakfast Show with John Sewa.
Monday to Wednesday from 8 a.m. on GN Radio.
Yo, Ghana for your English approach my moha. Ya sweaty. Yenya emrenim for when aquatari wo emrenimu. Poto kasemu, ya kase a lawyer for entimini no mumiyam for immigration in seminina and got dine one more. Fortwell solicitors, emrenimu kuku draw for. So what's na hache? Ombe bwa ma saka won krata. Na swedi e don so a eyomo kokokra. Eba ni nipa sitinemu ani adwumemu nsembia. Omu dimu akotene pa. Omu omre di many pebia. Na de nika wo mumpo ni say no consultation fee.
Fortwell solicitors always puts our clients' needs first. We specialize in all UK visa applications, detention and deportation cases, student and work points-based work permit applications from both UK and abroad. 412 Solicitors also deals with long residence and human rights applications outside the immigration rules. Don't wait till last minute. 412 Solicitors is located at
Unit 1, ground floor, Katrina House, 58 Clarendon Road, London, N80DJ. Nearest tube station, Tempark Lane and Wood Green. Overground, Hornsey Station. Buses, 41 to Archway and 144 to Maswa Hill. For more info, call 0203 3257 030. Call our 24-hour line on 0754 8701 011. Website www.fortwellsolicitors.com.
Opening hours Monday to Friday 9:30 to 5:30 p.m.
Thursday Beyonce Young Milton Keynes.
Fortwell Solicitors is regulated by SRA.
Fortwell Solicitors.
Here at the Obra Sports at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, dozens of Ghanaians have started trooping in. This is in anticipation of the planned Arise Ghana demonstration that seeks to highlight some issues confronting Ghana's governance and economic situation. This is on the back of an order secured by the police, which ordered that this demonstration is supposed to commence at 8 a.m. and end at 4 p.m. However, it is about 9 a.m. in the morning and the demonstration is yet to commence. This is on the back of what the demonstrators or the organizers of this protest claim to be an order of a stay of execution secured after the police secured their order. We will first of all speak to some of the protesters who are gathered here to take their thoughts briefly on what they intend to do here. Boss, can I take a moment of your time? Why are you here this morning?
We are here to talk what is worrying us to the president and his government. Honestly speaking, the country has become so hard to the extent that when you wake up early in the morning, you don't even know where to begin life from. Ghana is a country that should not suffer this kind of wahala. We are here to tell the president that, one, we don't need any cathedral. If he has promised God to build cathedral for him, he should use his own pocket money, but not the country's money. Two, our children are suffering. Some of them in the western areas, there are snakes going into their classrooms. Yet we are using the money to build the cathedral. Three, we are fighting for our children, our unborn children. We will go. Our ancestors did it for us, so we are also doing it for our children. Our children are suffering in schools. Our children are crying. Our mothers, our market women. Today, when you buy fuel, motor, I ride a bike. I ride motorbike. Today, when I buy 40 Ghana cedis, I cannot use 40 cedis for even up to 3 days. Why? So please, Mr. President, we are not here to insult you. We are here to tell us, we are here to tell you our problem. Think for us. Think for the children of Ghana. Think for the people of Ghana. The people who elected you to power. Think for them and think about them.
But the government has said that it feels what you feel. But the fact is that Russia has invaded Ukraine. COVID has come, and these are some of the things that is affecting the situation that we are.
I will not let you finish. Well, what time did Russia and Ukraine started this war? This crisis started before Russia and Ukraine. COVID, I am a health worker. I work in the health sector. Do you know what we went through during the COVID era? Do you know the money that UN gave to the government for COVID issues? You have no idea. They cannot tell us that it's because of COVID. That is why the country is suffering. This country started suffering before COVID came. This country started suffering before Ukraine and Iran war. So he can never tell us that it is the Ukraine and Iran that is making the country be hot like this. No, he can do something about it. We know that Ekufuado can do something about it, but he doesn't want to listen. And that is why we want him to listen.
Why are you here this morning?
I am here to vent my displeasure over the current happenings in this country. This particular president has been very untruthful to Ghanaians. He says green and the next morning he does blue. He cannot look at us in the face and tell us, you promised God to put up a cathedral and so therefore you are not going to use the taxpayers' money. The next moment we see people lying. Today, this last time I watched them on TV, I heard one of his ministers saying the state will have to fund the national cathedral. For God's sake, it is a promise between you and your God. It is not a promise between Ghanaians. You can't use our money to put up a national cathedral. Ghana is a secular state. We are not a Christian country. You can be Aladuna, you can be Kosovo, you can be whatever religion. That is why on the day of our state march, someone comes to pour a shrine. That's the Gbele Info, the national chief imam, then there's a pastor. We are not a Christian country. The national mosque there was built by the Turkish government. It was not built by Ghanaian government. We don't need anything. There are bread and butter issues happening in this country. Listen, you go to school and the fees of our kids has been increased by 30%. How can you say what put up a national cathedral? Is this government so insensitive to the plight of Ghanaians? Today you want to check about the foreign exchange, you see it and you just walk away. I just bought fuel into my car. I bought fuel of 100 Ghana. The gate didn't even move. What is happening? This man promised that we are sitting on money. There's no need for us to suffer. Today the suffering is something you cannot describe.
But I have a question for you. Some critics of this particular protest are saying that this is just the opposition hiding behind a whole movement to push their own agenda. What do you say about that?
Those people who are saying that they are mentally incapacitated, their thinking faculty is not functioning well. The reason is, whether you are NDC or whatever it is, you are a Ghanaian. The code is a Ghanaian. I'm a Ghanaian. I don't belong to any country, so I can be NDC, I can be QQQ, whatever it is. Whatever we are saying, is it true or not? They should give us answers and stop putting us in a political colors. We need answers. We don't need this political nonsense something.
Right. So there you have it. The demonstration is yet to begin. Of course, the police itself has secured a court order that says that this demonstration is supposed to start at 8 a.m. and end at 4 p.m. Of course, the organizers say they think contrary, and they have gone ahead to secure a stay of execution, and they are going to go ahead to demonstrate from 3 p.m. to from 12 p.m. to about 8 p.m. in the night. So as it stands now, we don't know whether they are going to comply with the court order or they are going according to their own plan. But one thing is very...
Okay, so I decided to play you the clip there of the demonstration that took place in Ghana yesterday, Arise Ghana, taken to the streets of Accra to exhibit their displeasure about what's going on in the country. And I just want us to listen to another soundbite. This was people claiming that the police had treated them unfairly. There's a press conference by the team that put together this demonstration. So I want us to take a quick listen, and when we come back, we'll continue with our discussion. Of course, there are other stories as well. We'll be talking about the footage that made the rounds. It went viral across social media platforms. All right, where what appears to be migrants who were trying to cross the border of Morocco into Spain. Unfortunately, the way in which they were dealt with was inhumane. There were reports that some of them also died. And ironically, the Prime Minister of Spain is defending how they were treated. So we will look at that story as well. Plus, next year, Nigerians will go to the polls, okay? It's that time again. So campaign is in full steam. But there's the UN is giving a stern warning to Nigerian youth, not to sell their votes. So we'll be speaking to Idris Adishina very, very soon about this particular story. Let's take a quick listen, all right? And we'll come back, we'll continue our discussion.
I have always known that President Akufo-Addo is a violent person, but I never thought that he could transmit his violence into the Ghana Police Service the way he has done. It's the worst that I have come across. I have always known that President Akufo-Addo is a violent person, but I never thought that he could transmit his violence into the Ghana Police Service the way he has done. This afternoon, just around 12:30 to 1, a team of the police led by COP Yohunu arrived at the Kwame Nkrumah circle and straight towards me and requested for a meeting with the leadership. I told them that not all of us were around, but I will immediately assemble for the leadership to appear. I went to meet them at the Kwame Nkrumah Amusement Garden, And I told them that I have called the leadership, they should give us a few minutes, like 30 minutes, everyone will be around. Within 30 minutes, all of us assembled towards me, and I walked to them and said, we should go up. And indeed, Sami Jemfi and others had secured the place up so that we can have a meeting with them away from the rest of the protesters. Surrounded them. Some of them were in red, some of them were wearing Arise Ghana t-shirts. And I went and asked them to move back so as to give the police space. Right in front of COP Yohunu, Idi Lansa, Doku, Habiba Awuni. These people told me that they were police officers, those who were wearing the Arise Ghana t-shirts, and that they have come here to protest their bosses. The police did not protest. And so when they said that, I said, sorry, I cannot take the job of the police. But how come that you are in our uniform, in our attire? So I left them, and they actually secured the police to come up. When we finished and we descended, we went straight to address the people just at, and I'm sure all those of you who were there were addressing the people. Then we got down and said, okay, myself, Asedun Ketia, Osu, Fosu Ampofu, we decided to move to go and see what was happening ahead. As we were going, we saw the police targeting us from the top of their vehicles and started shooting. These police officers who told me that they were not protested, but they had come there to protest their bosses, were the ones who started throwing the stones towards the police officers who were shooting and throwing tear gases at us. So this is a well-staged thing by President Akufo-Addo, Dampare, and his police, that they should come and instigate. And when they did that, you saw that they started throwing. And some of you were around. Where's my brother? He's here. He was standing with me. When one of our own decided to take a stone to throw at the police, I jumped out of the crowd and held him by the neck and pulled him back and said, we are peaceful people. We did not come here to throw stones. I came there with my handkerchief. Sami went there with his phone. Prince was walking and he was shot by a rubber bullet.
Sorry, it is actually tear gas.
You understand? He was shot. Ofosu Ampofu, who was in the vehicle with me, Sami had just descended. Asedun Ketia was there. Totobi Kwachi, this old man, was standing by. The police surging forward started shooting and throwing tear gas into the vehicle that we were in. Asedun Ketia, I don't know where he learned his skills from. So he laid flat in the Kia. I don't know where he learned those skills from. He laid flat in the Kia. Totobi Kwachi wanted to meet the police to find out why they were doing that. His bodyguard did not allow him. The bodyguard pushed him onto the floor and covered him down there to save the man. As for me and Ofosu Ampofu, our security is not that high-tech. So we're trying to jump out of the vehicle. Ofosu Sanders held onto the barister of the Kia. And he was falling. But we were all struggling to go. So he fell. Just when he fell, a tear gas landed right in front of him and exploded. So he was blinded. When I was trying to get to Ofosu Ampofu, the boys around me just picked me and said, you are a target. So they took me away. I still protested and said, no, leave me. So they left me before I realized they brought Ofosu Ampofu. Whilst we were there, whilst we were at the far end, the police started coming towards our direction. So we had to scatter in different directions. I entered into the station, the trot stations, all the way to Neoplan. The police were still throwing their tear gas into Neoplan station at innocent persons. The police have the courage to go and issue a statement to blame us for something that they have planned. If we say we will not use your route, we don't know what you have planted there that you want us to use. You say we will not use our route. Staying at Kwame Nkrumah Circle, since when has that become a crime? Since when has that become a crime? And so they chose to unleash violence on us. But as I said, I've always known Akufo-Addo to be a violent person. But I didn't think that he would transmit such violence into the police for them to do this.
Okay, so that was the leader of the Arise Ghana movement, Bernard Mona. He's the organizer, I should say. And it's interesting because, according to the reports, an intense clash between Arise Ghana protesters and Ghana Police Service has seen a police service bus vandalized by protesters. Okay, the clash was as a result of an insistence of the protesters to use a route contrary to the one ordered by the High Court on Monday. So, an Accra High Court, following an application by the police, ordered the demonstration to commence at Kwame Nkrumah Circle through Farisco Junction to TUC and end at the Independence Square in Accra. But the protesters, claiming to have secured a stay of execution against the court's order, sought to march towards the Flagstaff House as they had initially announced. The police, preempting the movements of the protesters, formed a human shield to block marching protesters from heading towards the Ring Road Central instead of the Independence Avenue. Okay, so look, I'm all for demonstration, and it's an individual right. It is their right. They're exercising their rights within the Constitution to protest, okay, if they're not happy with the way things are going on in the country. I mean, the earlier interview, you heard that the man talking about the hardship currently going on in Ghana. Obviously, I must commend the young man that was interviewing the guy, saying that, look, the government is saying this is, as a result, the government feels your pain, but this is due to the fact that there's an ongoing war in Ukraine right now, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, to which the protesters said, look, we were going through this hardship before the war in Ukraine even started, so that is not an excuse. To the point, and then alluded to the fact that there are important things that ought to be addressed, but the president has set his sight on building a cathedral. So, you know, I mean, like I said, everyone has their right to demonstrate. And I think it's difficult, isn't it? Where to draw the line, whether this is politically motivated or this is just a group of, you know, citizens not happy. But then how do you separate politics from the people? Because the people do form the political party. So either way, one can argue that, you know, listening to what's his name there, the young man there, talking about the fact that he didn't know that the president was a violent person. Well, he knew the president was a violent person, but didn't know he was this mean. The organizer, his name is Bernard Mona. He's the organizer. And of course, you can tell he had Semi Jenfi sitting next to him. So this, one can assume it was orchestrated by the NDC, the opposition party. And I find it interesting because, again, they're Ghanaians, they're exercising their constitutional rights. But I think it becomes a bit more less poignant if it is politically driven, or it is just in your face. It is politically driven. You know, it's not hidden. This is politics at its finest. And they're not the first party to do this. MPP also did the same thing. You know, these two political parties, this is something that they do, so it's nothing new. But my issue is when, you know, people end up being hurt, people ending up in hospital for going out to demonstrate. Well, according to the police, the protesters decided to change their routes, and this is what created the chaos. Let me know what you think about this, because I'm finding it difficult. You know, I keep saying this. I'm pro-liberty, freedom of speech, expressing yourself, but I find it difficult to, you know, where to draw the line when it's heavily politicized and is driven by opposition party. You know, But then, even these institutions, these organizations, they're all affiliated with one party or the other. Okay? And you can tell this is a strategy deployed by the opposition to hit on the head, to keep hitting that the president is violent, is a violent person, and this is a mantra of the NDC party. Let me know what you think. We're trying to get the organizers to speak to them. We spoke to them earlier, but we'll keep an eye on that, okay? We'll keep an eye on that, and we'll see how far we can go with that. See if we can get them. But all the same, it would be good to hear your take. You can call in 0203 286 0185. 0203-286-0185, where you can call the mobile number 0778-793-9958. 0778-793-9958. Call that number, okay, and then we can have a discussion. Very soon I'll be joined by Idris Adishina to talk about other stories that I want to bring to your attention. And before we get Idris on, I just want to, bring you up to speed, because I actually saw this clip, and to be honest with you, I felt sick to my stomach, to the point where a friend of mine, because I shared it on my Facebook. Was it Facebook? No, I think Instagram I shared it on, to the point where a friend of mine sent me a private message saying that, the person was white. It's a white person. Sent me a message saying that she's so appalled that this can be happening. And in my response, I said, look, this could have easily been me. Easily, it could have been me. Ironically, Spain's Prime Minister has come out to defend the way Moroccan and Spanish police repelled migrants last week as they tried to cross the shared border into North African enclave and Melilla, depicting the attempt in which at least 23 people died as an attack on Spain's border. When it comes to these type of reports, I mean, who's getting these reports? Who's saying that? Who's giving the accounts of people that have died? So yes, according to reports, it's 23 people that have died. But let's keep an open mind, all right? Because it could be more. Because the people that I saw in that particular clip, to me, it looked like there were more than 23 people. The clip is so disturbing, okay, where you have human beings, our brothers, okay, human beings, being tied up like animals, like dogs, like cows, simply because they're trying to cross the border. Sanchez, who left to center government, is trying to improve ties with Morocco following an acrimonious diplomatic dispute over Western Sahara, has refused to criticize the crackdown. And let me quote him. He said, "I regret the death of these people, as it could not be otherwise. Of course, a very special remembrance to the families of the deceased, but also recognition of the work being done by the Moroccan Gendarmeria and also the State Security Force and Corps in Spain, which repressed an attack, I insist, an attack on our country's borders." So this means nothing, by the way. Before Idris, you come on, I know Idris is waiting. This means absolutely nothing. This is the most ridiculous statement, okay, anyone could make. It's totally unacceptable. It's totally unacceptable. It is ridiculous. This, and let's not have any illusions about this. This is tactics that's being deployed in many parts of European countries. Italy did the same thing. Italy actually sponsored these terrorist groups, I call them, in Libya, to keep migrants, to stop them from crossing the Mediterranean Sea to Italy. And this is where we had a lot of migrants in Libya dying and also being sold off into slavery. So they know exactly what it is that they're doing. They know. It's funny how, and I think Britain, this is why Britain was trying to look for an alternative. But I just want to draw your attention to something here, and this is why I find it's, this whole UN and this whole international law paradoxical. It's just hypocrisy, all right? I understand, okay, from the so-called nation state, quote-unquote nation states, because you have the right to defend your borders. But who are you, in this particular case here, who are they defending their borders against? Is it men in military uniform? Is it men carrying grenades? Is it men trying to cross the border to blow up somewhere? Is it men carrying ammunition? No. So then the question again is, who are they protecting the borders from? Who? Who are they protecting the borders from? That's the question we ought to answer. Because these are migrants, these are refugees. And they're trying to pin it on so-called the people that, smuggling migrants to these countries. And I'm sorry, it's the most ridiculous thing anybody of his caliber could utter. What an utter nonsense. This is the tactics being used here in the UK as well. Take the blame away from the government, from the state, and blame the criminals. You have a duty of care when somebody lands on your shores. When somebody who's looking to better their lives land on your shores. You can't treat them like pigs. You can't treat them like animals. And this is, I understand why people get so irate and, get to the extreme, something which I call extreme. Why is this keep happening? Let's forget, for a split second, let's just forget about the fact that, people have made these perilous journeys to try and better their lives. Since time immemorial, people have always migrated. People have always migrated. It's just the state who have fed us this nonsense of protecting us from harm. In this case, who are they protecting other than the fact that these are Africans trying to cross into Spain? And again, I come back to the UN because, international law, you ought to accept refugees. But then, another question on the flip side is, who makes these laws? Who makes the UN? And of course, it's the states. And the UN or international law has no authority over states. It doesn't. The states has perpetual power. So then the states has the power to say, no, we don't want you in our country. No, we don't want you. Then they can do whatever it is that they want to do. So what about when Ukrainians were fleeing their land? We didn't see Ukrainians being treated like this. Anyway, that's just my rant. You can call in 0203-735-8820. Let's speak now to Idris Adeshina. Idris, thank you very much for joining us this morning. I know you've been waiting to come on. Let's begin, Idris. I've had my rant. What is your take on this, Idris?
Yeah, Jones, it's a very sad situation. But we can run from now till time immemorial. I don't think anything is going to change about it. In the first instance, my thoughts and prayers are to the families of these people. You heard what the Prime Minister of Spain said. Attack. I want to understand the word attack. They are trying to prevent their country from attack. Attack from who? From migrants?
Yeah.
That's not ridiculous statement, it's a criminal statement. Because the word attack has given meaning. They're trying to give it a meaning. They're trying to defend what they have done. What has been the response from African Union? Passive investigation. By who? Who is going to lead the investigation? Where is United Nations? Have you ever heard the statement from the United Nations on the scale at which you will expect that these are migrants? No, because the balance of power is not there. Yeah. And that's just the truth. It's Africa. It can continue. It's unfortunate. As any African country, have you even identified the deceased and see where are they from? So that we can have statement from the African countries, the leaders of the African countries whose victims, whose citizens have perished in that particular part of the world. I heard what you said, that let's not go back to why they are migrating. I mean, they are in your soil now. That's not new. There's no difference between what the Mexicans are doing in the U.S.
Yeah.
There's no difference there. There's no difference between what Afghanistan and Co are doing across the channel to United Kingdom. No. So that it's just the same way it's been. It's difficult, as you said. It's difficult because it will have been us. Irrespective of where we are migrants in this country too. There's different. Now they want to tell us there's a difference between refugees and migrants.
Yeah.
Because if they are refugees, that's different from according to them, they're different from migrants. Are you not a migrant before you're a refugee?
Yeah.
But that is the way it is. International community looks away when it's African. The African leaders looks away. I mean, you want to tell me that Morocco is not an African country? Morocco is an African country. It's a game between Morocco and Spain.
Yeah.
And shall always be on that disputed island. And you said it. Italy did the same thing. Yeah. It did not only sponsor militants. They refused the birth of a chief because it was carrying African migrants for so long before an intervention. And so but let's not see anything other than the fact that there's nothing we can do. Migration is part of the international world. So the issue of you are migrating, no. Migration is part. We have so many of us too in Africa, though they might have come through a different channel. But movement of people is part of the world. It's part of it. There's nothing we can do about that.
And Idris, what I find compelling is that the UK also, enforced the same policy. They were paying France to stop migrants crossing the English Channel. They were paying them. So what happens is, however France deals with the migrants, it's not UK's problem. And there seems to be a pattern. We spoke about Italy, we've seen Spain, and Britain did the same thing. But I think France just did not bother. They just left the migrants to cross the channel.
I'm sorry to say, I've been in this country for quite a while now, and I don't think I've ever seen a government like this in United Kingdom. A government that does not define shame A government that has that is ready to do anything. Just, I mean, a group of individuals now, let me call them government, a group of individuals that are ready to do anything to hang on to government, to be in government. A group of people who think it is their birthright to lead, and they're ready to defy all means of commonality, of common sense. And unfortunately, the people in this part of the world do not realize what they are trying to accommodate. You and I understand very well that the more this continue, the more it will infect, that the world is an infection, the fabric of this nation. And when they allow these things to sow, we saw what happened in America. We saw how bad the just one era of Trump has done to that society. I don't know how long it's going to take them to cure that madness, because it's an injection. They are doing the same thing in Britain. A man does not know anything other than just carry on. Yeah. A man broke the law, defied international law deliberately, carry migrants and dump them somewhere else. And all this is permitted because a man wants to hang on to government. So it's unfortunate, Jones, that what we didn't think of many years back is here on our soil in Britain now. A character you can simply identify with a despot. That every one of us will say, no, it's a third world. It's here in Europe. In the heart of Europe.
I wanted, Idris, for us to look at this again. This is a common theme when it comes to the issue of migrants. They're blaming the criminals, smugglers. And in this particular case, the Prime Minister, and I quote him, he's saying that, now I believe that we must point out where the responsibility lies, which is in the trafficking of human beings organized by international mafias. And I insist, these are international mafia groups that are not only damaging the territorial integrity of Spain, but also that of Morocco, which is a country suffering that irregular migration. And, we had it with Italy, we had it with Great Britain, because that has been the bone of contention here. When Boris Johnson sent out his cabinet ministers to defend his ridiculous, outrageous policy, the line that they were towing was, this is not targeting the migrants, but the people smugglers. We need to disrupt that business model.
So is it the smugglers that they're taking to Rwanda? I mean, if you cut the smugglers now and you look at them to Rwanda, so they're able to do that again, I'll understand that. But the people taken to Rwanda are migrants. They're not the smugglers. And for God's sake, since they've started doing this thing, have the boats stopped coming? No. This is just a new way of sharing responsibilities. Let's blame the victim. No, they want to blame the victim again now. They want to blame the traffickers. But where are these traffickers?
And that's the question.
Who has gone after them? Are they so invisible? No. Where do they do this thing? Where are the police? Where are the security agencies? Where are the intelligence? But they could get intelligence from Russia. They know Russians are losing soldiers. They know Russia, Putin is sick. Because those are intelligent.
Of course.
But they could not get intelligence on the smugglers. They could not go after the smugglers. The only way they could disrupt their business model is to victimize the victims. No, it's just it's just internationalized. It's just it's just the mode, and that's what I said about despots. That is the way we see them.
Right.
That's what they do. So it's unfortunate that in the 21st century, where we still have international law, where we have United Nations, we have common duty of care. This is what has become of our duty of care. We now know what Brexit is for.
Yeah. I mean, it just
This is what
it beggars belief, because you can actually link this with, because international law is there to protect refugees, people running from
so,
countries,
and a prime minister who is telling us that he's willing to tear off international law because he wants to win the next election. It's all about election.
Exactly.
It's all about appealing to that same pattern of people, just like Trump did.
Yeah.
He has his own supporters.
Yeah.
It's that's the same pattern. These are Trump disciples. And the earlier we root them out of Europe, the better it is. Because it's a cankerworm. Once it's allowed to stay, we might be in serious trouble.
All right, now let's move on, Idris. We'll keep a close eye on the story and see how far it goes. If indeed there will be investigation into this matter, and see if
investigation by who and what role are the African Union going to play?
Will be identified. Speaking of international law, let's talk about the UN. The UN have cautioned Nigerian youth not to sell their votes in the upcoming election. Is this whole selling of votes that endemic in Nigeria, where the UN feel the need, or is its rightful place to caution Nigerian youth, Idris?
Jones, it's a caution, or it's just calling it advice. Okay, maybe we are being semantics now.
Yeah.
Maybe caution and advice, we can use them interchangeably. But it's, I mean, what do you expect them to do? Look, you and I know we should not placate this story. You and I saw the video you posted. When a man said, we know what they do, you go into the village to go and match them, we'll buy them, pay them, we'll buy them, yeah. It's the highest bidder. And whatever the United Nations says, or their agents say, how many of these aspirants have they met themselves too? I can tell you authoritatively that immediately we knew who is going to emerge, they have also been meeting them. Agents of the international community have been meeting each group. They're not telling them they are not to sell vote. They're not telling them not to buy vote. They're also telling them that we are here, we can do business with you when you win. That's what they are doing. And that's the truth of the matter. Okay, don't buy votes, don't do this, let's do this for the big share of the country. No, that's not what they were doing when they met them. They are putting themselves in a position to say, we are ready to help you when you win the election. We are your partner. We are your friends. They are not telling them that we are going to investigate any rigged vote, any vote buying. We are not going to do business with you if we go in this lane. No, that's what they are saying. They are saying, we are ready for you. We're going to be your partner when you win election. And the aspirants now goes around promoting that on Facebook and say, I'm accepted by the international community. They are going to buy votes. They are going to snatch ballots. They are going to kill police. People are going to die. Because that is the way they will be accepted by the international community. None of this has ever been punished. We all knew about the Atiku story. All of a sudden, the same US, you say Atiku was not given, also, the same US also gave Atiku visa. And they say it's temporary.
His billboards in US.
To the US,
yeah,
yes.
I saw his billboard in US, Idris. His campaign billboard of Atiku in US.
Yes. Atiku went to US about 3 years ago when he was contesting second time with President Buhari. at the end of that, and all of a sudden, he got a visa to the U.S. to show Nigerian people I can enter U.S. I mean, we all know the story about how somebody is languishing in jail up to now. So if a government or a group of people somewhere in government, within the government, have deliberately allowed such thing to happen, when they know that there's a visa ban on that particular person, what are they saying? So this issue of do not buy votes, it's just statutory. That's the issue. That's what they have done. Because don't forget, I don't know whether you have worked with the United Nations or UNICEF before. Everything is documented, so that we say this is what we have done in Nigeria. This is how we have spent our money in Nigeria. We have put $10 billion on the campaign for not buying votes. And yet, every day they do election in Africa, people are buying votes openly on the. So how have they ever come back to say how effective is our campaign about this? No, they're not interested in that. They're just interested in that we have said it. Now this man has bought votes. There are evidence that he has bought votes. Are we ready to say, okay, we are not going to do business with you when you get to government? No, that's not part of the thing. It's just that we have told them and we have documented in our country that we put campaign together that should not buy votes. That's not what we need. They need to go ahead of a step further to say, if you do this, this is what we are going to do. I mean, we've seen several sanctions on Putin now. Have they done the same thing in Africa? No, it's just the same common thing.
I just want to move.
As a practicing journalist in Nigeria, I practiced for about 2 decades there. I've also collected a lot of campaign money. I collected a lot of campaign programs, which I was paid to do, not this. I don't start laughing.
I'm glad you clarified yourself.
No bribe. As a journalist, I've been given so many campaign jingles to produce, which I retired legitimately to UNICEF, United Nations, in this part of the world. Before I left that country, I remember there was a contentious one I did about vote buying or not buying. Yeah, it wasn't bribe. So don't look at me as if I am part of Boris Johnson style. I mean, as a journalist, you have your contacts. They'll come to you to help produce jingles, which they will pay you for. We've been producing jingles. We've been placing them on radio. We've been targeting them. But has it really worked? No, nobody's listening.
Well,
and they still do the same thing up to now.
I would just want to just move this conversation on a little bit because, of course, right here is the issue of democracy, and the U.S. The ambassador of the European Union said this in her address, trying to get Nigerians not to sell their votes. And it boils back down to democracy, because she's thinking if you do not sell your votes, then you have the right to change your destiny. You have the right to elect the person that you want to elect. But looking at the system in Nigeria and democracy in itself, the quote-unquote democracy, where do you stand? Because many have argued that it's not fit for purpose when it comes to how it is done across Africa. It's practiced.
Democracy, no matter how bad it is now in Africa, is better than the military rule. That's the truth of the matter. Or whoever live under the jackboot of the military or the soldiers will understand that it's something you don't want to entertain on the African continent any longer. It's not perfect. It's not what it is in the West, yes, but it's much better than living under the jackboot of the soldiers. But I don't know how to describe it. I remember that a particular aspirant in Ghana once told the world that this government, Akufo-Addo, doesn't have a monopoly of violence. They will be ready to meet them violence for war when it comes to that one. Because in that part of the world, it's the system that is wrong there. And don't forget that the level of poverty in that part of the continent, and it's a deliberate weapon to subdue people so that people will not do the right thing. But I keep telling you, Joseph, I just said, I'm going to say the same thing now. That if we find any Western government who refuse to do business with that government, if they fund to have rigged themselves into governance, no. And for as long as they don't do that, mere jingle will not stop this. Because, and I mean, we're coming from the story of Spain now, who was trying to blame the victim and blame the same thing the West is doing in Africa, saying don't sell your food. Yeah, the people you are talking about are the victim of that system. Go after politicians who buy votes. Stop doing business with African leaders who buy votes. Until that is done, we are not going to get out of this circle of shame. They are doing business with them. They are meeting them. They are invited to, I mean, we all saw what happened now. It's only African leaders who are invited to come and, they want to discuss Africa, and they are inviting African leaders to come over to Russia. They are inviting African leaders to come to China. So it's unfortunate that, but I can tell you, I've lived under the military for many years, and I know that whatever the situation of democracy in Africa today is 10 times better than when you live under the military, when your powers are curtailed, when you don't have right to talk, when people are dying, when the state-sponsored death from the military, activists are clapped into jail at no way without trial. All those things. At least in your National Assembly now, not all of them are doing the same thing. Some people are talking, even if it is crocodile tears, they are shedding. They are saying it loud and clear that this is not right. Although they will do worse than that when they come to power, but at least somebody is saying something.
Right.
So, but we until this system, the system, the level of poverty in Africa, for instance, you just don't buy vote. What are they going to buy? What are they going to eat? They don't buy vote. See, it's that bad. But again, let's have this faith that a generation will come. I mean, if people like you join politics, maybe.
All right, Idris. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Idris. Thank you. So that was Idris Adishina that we just spoke to right there. We're gonna take a quick break. All right, and then we'll come back and continue with our discussion. This is GN Radio UK with myself, Jones. Don't go nowhere. We'll be back right after this.
When you thought you'd seen it all, but no. This is the height of it. London, wake up as the maestro, Mr. Music Man, the legendary Kojo Entry with Keche and the Davison Band UK. Live concert in the UK. This is happening live on the 30th of July, 2022. Time 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. Hosted by The Force. DJ on deck, DJ TQ. Location, Gaumont Palace, Dominion Center, the Broadway High Road, Wood Green. N226DS. Performing live, we'll be having a surprise guest. Anticipate, come and witness history in the making. Tickets available online at www.kojoentry.eventbrite.co.uk. Remember, this is sponsored by Unity Link Money Transfer. Media partners. For more info, contact 077-288-76027 or 075-2552-48643. Kojo Entry with Keche and the Davison Band UK live in concert. UK is powered by Davison Band and Desire Enterprise UK. So my guy, you have to day there, eh? It's a legendary thing, my lad, me tell ya. Yeah. It's the anthem.
Yo, Ghana for you what English approach my moha. Ya sweaty. yenya emranimfo a wen akwadare wo emranimu a poto kasa mu ye kasa a lawyer for entimi nuanom mum yemfa ye immigration ensem nyina enko dan wo mo Fort Well solicitors emranimu akukudro for se watna ha che ombeboa wo ma wonsa ka won krata na se wedi edro nso a eyo mo kokokra eba ne nipa setena mu ene adwuma mu nsem bia omudimu akotene pa omo wo mre di mani pa bia na de enika wo mu boni
Fortwell Solicitors always puts our clients' needs first. We specialize in all UK visa applications, detention and deportation cases, student and work points-based work permit applications from both UK and abroad. Fortwell Solicitors also deals with long residence and human rights applications outside the immigration rules. Don't wait till last minute. Fortwell Solicitors is located at
Unit 1, ground floor, Katrina House, 50A Clarendon Road, London, N80DJ. Nearest tube station, Temple Lane and Wood Green. Overground, Bonza Station, buses 41 to Atway and 144 to Maswell. For more info, call 0203 3257 030. Call our 24-hour line on 0754 8701 011. Website www.fortwellsolicitors.com.
open hours Monday to Friday.
abrochimai mu ha yatwedi yenye emranimfo a wen akwadare wo emranimu a poto kasa mu ye kasa a lawyer for entimi nuanom mumiyemfa yi immigration nsem nyina enko dan wo mo fortwell solicitors emranimu akuku drofo.
No diabetes, high blood pressure, stroke, high cholesterol, cocoa, anasa nidane, and now be a wanisuya usisi, arthritis, anasa sabro, fibroid, skin rashes, bema or ye frail comfort, on paso, and now ba power, in Shalom herba, last stop, or no dear, what the ya chrome, hama, and your nubina, and a sabro de sanyare, Samamoya bidia, none chaso nina drew, just said what drew pastor and Shalom herba, I share, and sound what the American see, and to would hear me, Yaria Ben waja to Musa Wedia or Yariano. Na Syria, Sahini Neman, Ayarequata, now a pa nua drua, Nansu, a bra or two on Yamia Kwa, or D4 Elisa Anka, no Kohunu no, on Yamia fan. So,
welcome back to the program with me, Jones. This is GN Morning Breakfast Show. I think we've managed to get Mr. Yorsin on the better line, but before we do so, just a few quick announcements. So, Abinel Solicitors, I'm not sure if you're aware of Abinel Solicitors, always have them here on Tuesdays. The area of speciality is family law and immigration. They want to inform you that they want to invite you to their community day. They're saying, come and join us for all your legal solutions. Free consultation with solicitors and accountants, free accounting and tax advice, free legal advice, free food, free cold drinks. All right, everything free. Venue, 41 Copperfield News, London N18 1PF. That is N for Norman, N18 1PF. The date is 30th July 2022. The time is at 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. So make sure you get there early, all right? Make sure you get there early. Buses, you can get bus 34 from Walthamstow. Alight at North Middlesex Hospital. Bus 102 from Edmonton Green Bus Station. Bus 149 towards Edmonton Green. Bus 144, bus 149. If you want to go by train, Angel Corners, Silver Street Station. All right? Just jot down these numbers. For more information, you can call Abinel Solicitors on 0782 04705-353. Okay, it's the number you need to call them. Okay, so make sure you do so. And also, police recruitment, community radio partnership brief. So brief to all radio stations. Okay, police recruitment. All right. So as a police officer, what makes you who you are will help you make a difference. Here are the objectives. Increase consideration of career in policing. Increase agreement that somebody like me could be a police officer. Drive people to taking action as a result of seeing or hearing the campaign. Okay, so there's a few things here that we ought to go through. Okay, so this is to do with community policing. We'll get that sorted and we'll come back to that very, very soon. But I want to know if we still have Mr. Yosin here online. Mr. Yosin was trying to come through earlier, but for some reason I think Mr. Yosin is still here. Mr. Yosin, can you hear me now? Mr. Yosin? Okay, it looks like Mr. Yosin is not here. We can't hear him. So we've got, what is it? Just under 3 minutes to wrap up today's show. And before I sign off, I wanted to say this. I said this earlier on at the top of the hour when I was discussing, I was looking at the newspaper headlines to do with policing, all right? And the Met Police, again, eyeing the headlines, and this, talks about the Met Police and the way in which they carry on. There's a lot of scandals that has come to the forefront again. And myself, yes, I understand what the police go through, how much they deal with, but nevertheless, the way in which they deal with people needs to be questioned. Sometimes they do abuse their power. So if you happen to be stopped by police, make sure you do question them. You have authority, you have the right, should I say, to question them. All right? Don't just, I know it can be a bit overwhelming at times, but you do have to ask questions. And if they do stop and search you, they ought to give you, a piece of paper that and tells the information about what it is that they carried out, okay? So don't let that go, because I know somebody that has experienced it. All right, so don't let it go. Now, we did try to get the demonstration, the people that organized the demonstration, Arise Ghana, online, but unfortunately did not come to fruition. I've just received a message from them that they do apologize, but they will try and make it another time. So anyway, who knows? All being well, next week we might be able to get them. We'll bring the show to an end here. Thank you very much for staying tuned, for listening. We'll try and resolve some of the technical issues that we have. So do join me next week, Monday. We'll do it again. Same time, same place here on GN Radio. And I will see you next week. Whatever it is that you do, make sure you stay safe and enjoy the rest of your week. It's goodbye from me.
When you thought you seen it all, but no, this is the height of it. London, wake up as the maestro, Mr. Music Man, the legendary Kojo Entry with Ketche and the Davison Band, UK. Live concert in the UK. This is happening live on the 30th of July, 2022. Time, 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. Hosted by The Force. DJ on deck, DJ TQ. Location, Gaumont Palace, Dominion Center, the Broadway High Road, Woodgreen.